we're ready. Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Tulsa Airports Improvement Trust special meeting and the Tulsa Airport Authority regular meeting for Thursday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. 8:30 a.m. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our September 27th meetings?
Actually, it's two meetings, so.
Meetings, yes.
Yeah. I'm going to have to recuse from the January 10th because I wasn't here, but.
I will second.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very well. CEO report. Alexis.
Yes, so we have a photo up of the Antonov. The Antonov made a stop here recently, and it comes here periodically throughout the year. They, of course, carry oversized cargo, which does not fit in a traditional cargo aircraft. The nose of this plane lifts up, and they load it in through the nose of the aircraft. And we expect to see it back here several times over the next several months. But this is directly related to a report that Fabio is going to give later about cargo activity here at Tulsa International. We've seen significant growth, but that growth has kind of slowed over the past couple of months. So he's going to provide some insight into that, looking at national data compared to local data. But passenger activity in 2018 was a record high in terms of the past 10 years. I mean, we exceeded activity when looking at in-plane passengers and total passengers. We had 3.1 million total passengers in the terminal. That's a 6.3% increase over 2017. Of course, we had Frontier, we had Via, some of our existing carriers also added capacity. And that combined with just the general economic activity in the city really supports the flight activity here at the airport. I also would like to acknowledge there are 47 companies that have signed the Fly Tulsa Pledge, which is a pledge to fly from our airport if the fare difference is $300 or less. They will choose to fly Tulsa instead of drive to Dallas or Oklahoma City. And so the more companies we can get to support that, I think the more impact we'll see on our service. Last month, Allegiant announced that they're going to begin flying nonstop to Destin, Florida, which is a hot vacation destination for our region. We're gearing up right now for the American launch to LA, which is going to happen on April 2nd. And just this past week, we've seen additional capacity added to Chicago and Charlotte. And so as the airlines see our activity and our demand, they're monitoring it, looking at sending schedules, and that's a good sign for Tulsa. So I did want to circle back too, at the board retreat, something we talked about was load factor. And as we see airlines increasing their aircraft size, more people are flying, and our load factor is also increasing. So it's very rare to have an empty seat next to you when you're flying. Our load factor was the highest it's ever been in the history of the airport in 2018. It was at 77.8%. And so it's more likely than not that you're going to be on a full flight when you're leaving from Tulsa. More passengers equals more bags, and a statistic Frank's group shared with us a couple weeks ago. Last year, 972,000 bags passed through the airport outbound baggage system. That equals to about 2,700 bags a day. There were 19,800 bag jams that our employees responded to. And those are caused from just various reasons. It could be the way a bag is placed on the belt. It could be a strap or something. But they were able to clear those jams in less than 2 minutes. So our guys are extremely responsive. They know how critical that system is to making sure our passengers get their bags when they get to their destination. Our finance and engineering teams have been working on a PFC application. This is to provide funding sources for some of the projects that we've already started with the escalators that we've done in B, and then the jet bridge down on B that we added. We'll get reimbursed if this application is approved by the FAA for those costs. And then we're also seeking funding for 4 other sets of escalators in the terminal building. That funding then would come back in the form of PFC revenues that we receive once additional capacity is available. A lot of that revenue is tied up in bonds that we've already issued. We also published our request for proposals for parking last month. Joe Robson's agreed to sit on that evaluation committee. You know, parking is our #1 non-airline revenue stream, so it's extremely important to us that we look at potential management companies and the level of service that they'll provide to our customers. So we're looking forward to bringing that to you in April. There are a couple of events coming up in March. On March 2nd, the Runway Run is here at Tulsa International. It's on the west side of the airfield. The Air and Space Museum puts that on every year. It's at 10 a.m. Also on March 2nd at Riverside Airport is Challenge Air Fly Day. They take special needs kids up for 30-minute flights around Tulsa. They've hit their max capacity for this year, so there is a waiting list. But let's just hope for good weather March 2nd. And then the only other event, March 5th, is our next neighborhood airport advisory group meeting. Counselor Patrick comes in and meets with us and Homeowners Association representatives from neighborhoods around the airport. And you all are welcome to join us for that meeting.
What's the date on that?
It is March 5th at 6 p.m. And that's my report. I'll turn it over to Fabio.
Good morning. The activity I'll be discussing today is the December 2018-17 and calendar year to date. As you see, revenues were up 5.6% over last year and 4.1% over prior December. Expenses were up about 6.5% and down about 5% for December over December. Our net operating income is about 4.5% lower than it was a year ago. Food and beverage is doing very well. We had a strong December. Calendar year to date, we're up 17%. Retail, we're doing well. We had a slight dip again in December, but calendar year to date, we're up 23%. That dip, as you may recall, we had one in October of October. Basically what happened was they had a temporary offering on the boulevard, and that offering has gone away. For the most part, they've absorbed those sales, but we've seen a few months where they're just slightly below where they were. Parking tickets were relatively flat calendar year to date. Again, we see another decline. However, our revenues are strong. We have 4.5% greater this December over last, and 10% above where we were a year ago. Now, in 17, we were at the old rate for the first 3 months of the year. However, we're 10% above where we were, so there's a lot of room in there. Rented cars are doing fairly well, 3% above where they were a year ago. Operations at RVS are up 10%, and fuel flow had a good December, and we're up 2.2% for December. And plane passengers, as Alexis said, we had a great year. We're up 6.4% where we were a year ago, and we ended December strong with 3.4. Landed weights, our passenger count is relatively steady growth there. We have a 5.5 over a year ago. We're 20% higher in cargo, but we did have a significant drop in December, and I'll get to that in a moment. In plane cargo, same story, significant drop in December, but overall we're about 12% higher than we were a year ago. This, I just want to highlight our enplanements. As Alexis said, we had the best year in the history of the airport. We had 1.4 million enplaned passengers, 6.4% above prior year. So as you can see, the trend is relatively the same. The dark red is 16, the orange is 17, and the gray line is 18. And we've maintained a good distance above our prior years with the exception of March 17. March 17, we hosted the NCAA basketball tournament. We didn't host it in 18, but we are scheduled to host it again in March of 19. So it'll be interesting to see where those numbers lie. Cargo. Well, we had a slight decline in November, and I've been tracking this since then. And this is straight from Air Cargo News, industry publication. The tariff wars showed a decline in November volume. In November, that's when the cargo carriers worldwide ramp up to end the year strong, and it just didn't happen this year. You see, November of prior year, it starts to rise, and then December, it starts to rise even more. The blue is yield, that's their earnings. The red is their chargeable weight. And for the first time in 12 months, they've had a negative chargeable weight, and the yield is shrinking. Following this 1 month closer, Lodestar, another publication, shows that in December, they had an even more negative chargeable weight, and they had showed a negative yield. So it's a little concerning. Unfortunately, it's global. It's not, we're not isolated. It's not a Tulsa issue. It's a world issue. Next slide is the stock prices. So I've been kind of following this closely. I said, well, what do the stock prices look like? And the darker blue is FedEx, and the light blue is UPS. And as you can see, in November of 18, you see that spike. Well, there wasn't one in November or December of 18, it really dropped low. And again, that's because of the trade war really picked up the momentum. It took a few months for the world to catch up to it, but the U.S. has sanctioned tariffs of $250 billion on China. China retaliated with 110, targeting political industries such as agriculture. The good news is there is a treaty in the trade war temporarily, and that's the result as of today, calendar year to date. You see the stock prices rising. The treaty's in effect until March 2nd. However, the president did announce yesterday, if negotiations move in a favorable fashion, that they would extend that deadline. So what does this mean for Tulsa? Well, in Tulsa in general, we've seen a lot of growth in our air cargo. We had 53 million pounds in 2016, 55 in 17, then a real good surge in 18, up to 61, almost 62 million pounds. So we had 10 really good months in 18, coupled by a bad month in December and a slight decline in November. Our air cargo landed weight, passenger Signature, steady growth. Our cargo Signature, we had a little dip in 2017, but we more than made up for it in 18 with 16 million pounds. Non-Signature, we saw a little dip in our passengers, but then just a surge in our activity for passenger carriers, non-Sig. That's from Via and Frontier and Allegiant. And then we saw significant growth in 17 carried forward, and that's the addition of DHL. So overall, we did have one minor bad month and one really bad month, which we saw 23+% loss. However, overall, we're up 21% in landed weight and 12% in cargo.
Question.
Yes.
Years ago, Carl and I tried to figure out what kind of cargo is coming through here. What are the bigger sources of cargo? Is it, you know, retail clothing? What is it? I don't know if our carriers are able to tell us what they're bringing in and what they're shipping out, or do they not share that?
We can inquire. I don't know if
So
they
they-
have your detail.
Well,
I know.
they are super top secret
I know.
about what they're bringing in
Yeah.
because they are concerned about their competitors finding out who their customers are.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about trying to pinpoint that, and it's something that we definitely want to explore further. It's just when we've asked the question, we've even asked the chamber to help us determine that, because that any cargo activity besides the cargo carriers, which clearly directly benefit, it also benefits our airline commercial carriers because they make a lot of money carrying freight as well. So.
I mean, it's obvious that the economy's been so good, people are buying more stuff, but I'd still be really interested to know what it is that we're bringing in and out, and what's our strong point,
Flowers are big right
yeah. Yeah.
now. But it's something we're trying to get a hold of as well.
Yeah. Thanks.
And that's it.
Very good. Any questions for Alexis or Fabio? Very good. 2B. Jeff.
This is received for review, TAIT's proposed advertising policy. I believe you guys got it in the email. This policy, we don't have a formal one as of now. It just incorporates the up-to-date understanding of advertising policies going forward. And we had help with Connor Winters helped us draft this. And the country's airports have been in litigation over advertising policies over the past 10 years, and this policy will help us withstand any kind of lawsuit if we ever get into one. So
I was impressed with that. I assume you had covered the entire waterfront. I just kept reading the things that were
yes,
going through.
we did.
And-
It's comprehensive. There's actually some lawsuits out there that we drew from, because what they found is that these airports have policies that won't withstand a lawsuit.
I thought it was very.
So we need that.
Okay. So we're just receiving it?
We're just receiving it.
So no approval is required?
Yeah.
2C.
I'd like to withdraw 2C.
Very good. 3, D1.
3D1 is approved change order number 2, Parking Academy project with ACO and Construction LLC in the amount of $2,346. Basically, this added in 8 locations of the parking garage, the post-tension cables were in a different position than the plan showed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. But the contractor had to make some modifications to his structure to make it work. Total change orders on this project so far is $25,614.88. Total percent change on the project is 1.3%. Total cost of the project is $1,975,614.88. And management recommends approval of 3D1.
Move approval, 3D1.
Second. Or you want me to say it?
I can second that, yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, I have to vote aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 3D2.
Okay, 3D2 is approved change order number 8, quick turnaround area, QTA project with Knight Construction Incorporated in the amount of $12,845. Basically, after the project was designed, the fire marshal said, we have to make sure that we can respond to fire alarms in that area. QTA has several different buildings in it. So what this did, this added a centralized alarm panel that will notify dispatch of smoke or heat, fire, and so forth. Total change orders on this project is $227,600.97, basically 9.9%. Total percent change on the project is 9.9%. Somebody's going to ask, 9.9% is kind of high.
You know, when I saw this on the deal, I'm going, it seems to me like we've had an awful lot of change orders.
This project, we have had a lot of change orders. When we are dealing with the tenants working in the area that we're actually doing the construction in and trying to move them from one side to the other while we're trying to get some work done, it produces problems. On top of that, the parking lot, as we went out there to identify the bad areas of the parking lot, it was full of cars. QTA has all their cars parked, or rental cars have all their cars parked in this area, in this parking lot. We couldn't see all of the bad spots. So as the areas got moved, or the cars got moved, then we saw all this and we thought, well, we don't have enough. They bid a lump sum on that. We are making sure that in the future that if a situation like that, we're going to make sure we bid it unit price on, for instance, the patching of the parking lot. But in any case, the parking lot was high. We also had mold in the walls that we could not see, behind sinks, behind counters, vanities and so forth. But I also looked at the change orders over the last probably 18 years. Believe it or not, we've only had about 1.3% change orders over the magnitude of all of the projects we've
That's
had.
why this one stuck out.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, basically, the total cost of this project is $2,506,600.97. Management recommends approval of 3D2.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I voted again too. 3D3.
If I could, I'd like to take 3D3 and 3E1 together, same project, same contractor. 3D3 is change order, approved change order number 5, Taxiway Juliet project. We try that again. Taxiway Juliet pavement project with Interstate Highway Construction, IHC, in the amount of $66,825.32. Basically, this was adding pavement patching on Taxiway Juliet north of the existing project that was being rebuilt. The contractor used the existing Taxiway Juliet as a haul route. We could have patched that with the unit price in the project that used a material that would have lasted 20 years. Because we're going to tear out that taxiway this spring, we asked the contractor to use a lesser cost material, and we saved about $65,000 by doing that. Item 3E1, same project, contractor is approved change of quantities number 1, Taxway Juliet pavement project with Interstate Highway Construction, in the amount of $169,955.90. Total change orders on this project was $215,409.63, 1.5%. Total change of quantities, $169,955. Total change on the project so far, 2.7%. You're gonna ask what that's $170,000 comprise. I have a list, if you would like me to email that to you, I can, but a couple of items offhand. One of the most expensive items that we overran was $140,000 for additional layers of a concrete and asphaltic concrete that we found underneath the pavement itself. So instead of having 6 inches of a concrete, we had 6 inches plus another 6-inch layer. Of course, we had to remove that and put in a new. On a negative side, we had $46,000 worth of deductions due to temporary pavement markings that we cut out of the project. We just said it wasn't needed. So, total project cost, $14,396,511.32. And if there's no questions, management would recommend approval of 3D3 and 3E1.
Is that amount net of the savings that we got? Does it include the savings?
Yes.
Move approval, 3D3 and 3E1.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. 3F1.
3F1 I would like to withdraw.
4A.
4A, good morning,
Good morning.
is a cargo facility sublease agreement with L3 Technologies. They have requested a short-term agreement to align their lease in the cargo facility with their leases on the west side of the airport, and we agreed to that. So it'll be a 5-month lease with 2 one-year options to extend effective February 1. We have adjusted the rate by the CPI, so we would recommend approval.
Move approval 4A.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 4B.
4B is to approve amendment number 2 to the rental car concession agreement with the listed rental car companies. Based on the completion of the canopy project on the 3rd level, we've moved rental cars back to their original location. We amended in order to move them up, so we need to amend to move them down, and we would recommend approval.
Move approval 4B.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. 4C.
4C is a renewal of the non-signatory air carrier sublease and license with Frontier Airlines for 1 year at the standard non-signatory rate, effective March 1, 2019. We would recommend approval of that.
Move approval 4C.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. 4D.
4D, I want to withdraw because it's covered in 4E.
Very well. 4E.
4E is to approve an assignment of a sublease and acknowledgement and consent to assignment. This relates to Hangar 31 up on the north side. It's been for sale since I've been here, so it's very exciting. It'll be assigned from 31 WJG to Zico Hangar LLC. Then we will do a mutual termination of the current Hangar 31 sublease and provide Zico with a new full-term sublease. And we would recommend approval. And a hooray.
And a hooray.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Passes. 4F. Take 4F through 4M together?
If you want.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay. 4F, approve a sublease agreement with Chad Williams and Karen Chandler, standard term, standard rate, that's a renewal. 4G, approve sublease agreement with Pioneer Asset Management, a current tenant, this is a renewal. Standard term, standard rate. 4H, approve acknowledgement and consent to collateral assignment. Pioneer Asset Management is going to put some work into their hangar and have requested us to approve their loan. 4IJK and L are all related. It's an assignment of a hanger from Connie Steeper to Air Electric. Mutual termination of the sublease agreement to put in place or pay a commercial sublease agreement with Air Electric, and then also approve 4L, the collateral assignment for Air Electric to purchase the hangar. Recommend approval of all, well, wait a minute, I've got 4M, I'm sorry. Acknowledgement and consent to collateral assignment from Hawk Hangars to Bank First. This assignment was approved in January. We just weren't aware that they were gonna have a line, so we had to add this month. Recommend approval of items 4F through 4M.
Move approval items 4F through 4M.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. They all pass. Other TAIT business, seeing no other TAIT business, any TAA business, no TAA business, I have a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. That is the first, that's a record. It is a record. And we had reports. Imagine.
We even had questions.
What?